every day 130 people kill themselves in the US, about 5 people every hour. The question is, can we do something to save these lives? Hello, how are you, fellow seekers? Welcome to those of you who are joining me for the first time. My name is Javi, and I'm a scientist by profession, a believer by conviction, a seeker by nature, and a YouTuber by necessity. In this channel, I try to share my seeking journey, convinced that faith and reason are compatible. We are still working with the second hypothesis from the last episode, episode 6, where I postulated we live inside God. Let's keep in mind the image that we are inside God like a baby inside her mom's womb. Today, I want to share my finding about this question. What prevents me from believing that God loves me as a mother loves her child in her womb? I want to start by talking about two well-known seekers. The first is Robin Williams, a talented actor who took his own life. This sentence is attributed to him. I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up all alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people that make you feel all alone. The other seeker is a woman, a wrinkled-haired nun, Mother Teresa, who helped the poorest, the abandoned ones in Calcutta. She said that loneliness and the feeling of not being wanted is the most terrible poverty. I personally lived for many years during my teens and my 20s, feeling like the lyrics of that song by Celtas Cortos. There comes a time when you suddenly get old, without wrinkles on your forehead, but feeling like you want to die. I felt that I did not fit in the time in which I lived, and internally I felt all alone. Nowadays, the pandemic and being socially isolated have generated an increase in the number of suicides among young people. Also, some of those that were living in nursing homes and who could not receive visits from their relatives were dying due to loneliness. The reality here in the US is this: suicide is the second leading cause of death among people ages 10 to 34. In figures, there are more than 47,000 people who take their own lives, twice more than those who die because someone else takes their lives. That means that every day 130 people kill themselves in the US, about 5 people every hour. The question is, can we do something to save these lives? My hypothesis is, you can save a life without having to be a doctor, a psychologist, or a first responder. After having felt the effect of the experience that I call the hack that saved my life, see episode 5 for more details. One night, I was walking through the streets of Madrid with a friend. It was late. Sometimes there were prostitutes on those streets. One of them approached us. She looked dirty and in poor condition. You could tell she must have been using drugs or alcohol. I wanted to keep walking, but my friend stopped it to talk to her. In the end, I came over and she asked me for money to buy food. I offered to invite her to eat something in a nearby McDonald's. We sat down, she rolled up her jacket, revealing that she had bandages on her wrists, dirty bandages with blood stains. My friend shared with her that he had been on drugs and how he had stopped it after an experience of encounter with God in a retreat. She opened up and told us that she had two daughters and that her daughters did not know that she was living a dual life and that she felt very lonely and empty, that no one loved her and she did not love herself either. I, who did not know anything at that time about the world of drugs and was a little scared to talk to someone in those conditions, saw myself powerless. I wanted to help the woman somehow to stop trying to cut her veins, to stop drugs, but who was I? After all, I was there because my friend had approached her and I did not want to leave him alone. Then something happened inside me. When I felt more powerless to help, it occurred to me to say a few words that I knew were real. I said, "Look, there is someone who loves you." She immediately looked at me as if awakened from her lethargy. She opened her eyes and stared at me, demanding an answer. "Tell me, who? Who loves me?" And I replied, "God. God likes you. God loves you." And she started crying bitterly, like a little girl, for a while, until her face changed and showed peace and innocence. She believed that God loves her. She believed in those words. Going back to the question of this episode, what can prevent you from believing that God loves you? I had my answer after that experience. That prostitute was talking with two young men, only wanted to listen to her story and chat like friends, without any intention of using her or rebuking her because her appearance or judging her. We ended our unexpected meeting with a big hug and our heart full of joy. I don't know what happened to that woman, but I do know that that night she felt loved, probably as never before. What can prevent us from believing that God loves us is missing the experience that someone loves us for free. Just because we are human beings, not because we are well dressed, not because we are successful in our business, or because we have many diplomas. And I can assure you that God doesn't stop loving us because of the bad things we may have done in the past. You may not be a doctor, a psychologist, or a first responder, but you can give oxygen, life to someone who feels dead inside, without will to live. If you have found the oxygen, the medicine for yourself, spread it to others. And if you haven't found it yet, keep seeking it. Do not wait to feel spontaneous love for others. If you realize that there is someone next to you looking for that gesture, those words that may help them to connect with the one in whom they live. Help them to listen to the voice of God, the voice of that mother who speaks with love to her child in the womb. Take a leap of faith and dare to speak up to them, to something that's not cost money, can perhaps save the life of that co-worker, that member of your family that nobody wants to visit, that neighbor that you like, maybe your friend that is seeking outside happiness and ease. Harm him. I encourage you, my dear fellow seeker, to do the experiment. Prove by yourself. You can save a life. You only need your voice and a little faith. And you may also want to take these words as a hint. They are in the Bible and they are meant for you, but also for each individual person, as if he or she were the only creature that exists in the eyes of God. Since you are precious in my eyes, worthy of honor, I love you. I will give people in exchange for you, nations in exchange for your life. Bye.